Number 1.
I was about 7 years old in 2007. I remember this vividly, and I'm still terrified of what happened. I live in a 2-story house in a safe neighborhood. My mother and I were the only ones home at the time. My mother was taking a bath upstairs while I watched Nickelodeon downstairs, alone, in the living room. The way my house is set up is that anyone can see the living room through the front door, even if the door is shut. I remember hearing a knock on the door, and I couldn't ignore it, since whoever it was at the door could see me and knew that someone was home. My mom usually would hide in the kitchen until the person knocking went away, and it was too late for me to run into the kitchen since he could see me. I remember feeling guilty since my mom has always warned me to never open the door to strangers. I got the key and unlocked the door. A man in his early 30s or late 20s, wearing work clothes with a green tie, was at the door. He asked if I knew where my neighbor was and that he needed to see him. I also noticed that the guy was looking around the inside of my house while he waited for me to answer. I asked him which neighbor he was talking about, and then he said he was older and lived somewhere near here. He didn't give me a name and was as vague as possible. I felt bad because I didn't know who he was talking about since I live in a neighborhood with primarily older couples. I told him that I couldn't help him, but then he insisted that I help him search the neighborhood for my neighbor. I declined, but the guy kept asking me. I told him no once more, and the guy then grabbed my arm and started to pull me out of my house. I grabbed the door frame and called for my mom. The man let go of my arm and started to casually walk back to his car. I'm pretty sure that it was a beige Civic, but I'm not too sure. What honestly scares me the most is that he didn't bolt and speed off. He was too calm. I just stood there and watched him drive away, as if nothing bad had happened. I didn't tell my mom about this incident until I was about 15, and she flipped her shit. I regret not telling her sooner, because there's no telling what this guy has done after trying to kidnap me. To this day, I still panic when I hear someone knock on the front door.
Number 2.
About a year ago, my family and I went on a vacation, and eventually came home afterwards to find a bunch of bird poop everywhere, and some objects moved ever so slightly. The couch was moved about an inch to the right. The fan was facing the wrong way, a shelf was moved about an inch or two, etc. Nothing was stolen, and the police didn't find any home intruders when they conducted a sweep of the home. A few months before that, I saw a strange man with a beard outside on my driveway, taking pictures of my house with a camera. Pissed off, I confronted him. When I asked him why he was taking pictures of my house, he claimed he was a previous tenant of the home and left soon after. I never saw him again. Jumping back to today, I went downstairs only to find that my back door lock had obviously been picked open. Lockpicking happens to be a hobby of mine, and I found that the cylinder to the lock was turned in the open position, a position that generally cannot happen without the lock being picked. I immediately checked the house for intruders and found nothing. So far, nothing has been stolen at all, and now there is evidence that there was someone inside. I'm quite confused by this and worried. And the strange thing is that the intruder could have easily simply turned the cylinder back into its original position, and I would have been completely oblivious to their threat. I'd hate to sound cliche or dramatic, but it's almost like whoever he is, he wants me to know he's been inside my house. I know my parents and landlord would likely never approve, but I just went and disassembled the lock and added a mushroom pin and security pin to the quickset. I've also noticed some hammer marks on the quickset. Maybe a failed attempt.